Aha, here we are with the witch's hat, which I have fixed a little bit. Mind you, it's a little bit wobbly, so I just have to be careful. Scary music for the witch. And the witch is Donna, but she's a witchling, isn't she? So here we are, and here is Donna, Bella Bewitched. There. I haven't read this one before. This is the third of the new Donna books. So, are you sitting comfortably? I have all my friends with me. There they all are, waiting here for you when you return. And this is chapter 1. And it has 2 witches' hats, just like mine. Very good. There are some things that I'm very good at. That's Donna talking. Like being a witchling and casting spells. And there are some things I am not very good at, like maths and gym. Why, oh why does gym class have to be so hard? And what's so important about being able to walk along a beam, jump over a vaulting horse or climb a rope hanging down from the ceiling anyway? She's like me, I didn't like it either. Of course, if I'd been allowed to use magic, it would have been no problem at all. Easy peasy, in fact. I could have just flown up the rope. But even though I am a witch, or a witchling, as young witches are called, I have to go to school in the real world. I'm not allowed to use magic outside Coven Road where I live, and no one who isn't a witch is even supposed to know that I am one. Go on, Bella, my teacher, Mrs. Pierce said, as I clung to the rope. Up you go. I'm not Tarzan, and I wasn't going anywhere. What did Mrs. Pierce know? She was standing safely down there on the ground. I'd like to see her try to climb the rope instead of just telling me what to do. Couldn't she see that I couldn't go up and I couldn't go down? The truth was I was stuck. I was stuck. I stared down at the rest of my class, who were all staring up at me. Some of them had their mouths open, a few were pointing. Ellen and Rajni were trying hard not to laugh, but just about everyone else, apart from Sam and Angela and Mrs. Pierce, was laughing. Whoops. Stay there. I wished I could turn myself invisible and disappear. You can do it, Bella, my best friend Sam said. Just let go with one of your hands. My other best friend, Angela, told me. My face was red with embarrassment. I hated everyone looking up at me. Even though I knew Sam and Angela were just trying to help, their words only made me cling to the rope more tightly. My legs were clamped around it, and it was scratchy against my bare skin. But if I let go, I'd fall. I definitely didn't want to fall. Even looking down made me feel a bit woozy. The rope swung scarily to and fro, if I so much as breathed. The bell for lunchtime rang, and the caretaker came in through the gym's swing doors. He saw me hanging from the rope and made a sort of humph sound. I bet he thought I was stupid for getting stuck up the rope. We have our lunch in the gym every day, and the caretaker has to set out the tables and chairs before we can start eating. Only he couldn't do it yet because of me swinging in the middle of the room. Mrs. Pierce looked at her watch. We haven't got all day, Bella, she said. Come down now. But I still didn't move. If she wanted me to come down so badly, then she could come up and get me. I never wanted to do gym again. I hated it. Mrs. Pierce sighed loudly. You shouldn't have climbed up the rope if you knew you couldn't get down again, you silly girl. Me? Silly? It wasn't me being silly. It was all Mrs. Pierce's fault for expecting me to climb the rope in the first place. I'd almost rather have been doing maths than this. I'd rather have been doing just about anything than swinging from a gym rope. This was the worst Friday ever. If only I was allowed to use magic, I could cast a tiny weeny spell and Jim would be so much better. The caretaker made loud clattering and clunking sounds as he started to unstack the chairs. I know what to do, Sam said. He and Angela ran over to the vaulting horse and pushed it until it was just under me, and then they held the rope tight so it didn't wobble or swing about. If you just uncurl your legs from the rope, they'll touch the horse, Sam said. Gingerly, I stretched out one leg and almost touched the vaulting horse, and then I stretched out the other one and did touch it. I knew you could do it, said Sam, smiling. Thanks, Sam, I said. Angela stretched up her hand and I took it. Everyone back to the changing rooms, Mrs. Pierce said, as Sam and Angela helped me down. Quickly, but don't run. What about all this gym equipment, the caretaker said as we ran past him. I suppose I'll have to put it away myself, just like I have to do everything else around here. We didn't stop. He was always a bit grumpy. Maybe because his nose is constantly being scratched by his bristly moustache. It makes him look like he's got a giant caterpillar stuck on his face. It'll be easier next time, Angela said as we got changed. I shook my head. Oh. There. It won't. At least you've tried climbing the rope now, Sam said as we ate our lunch, but that didn't help either. Yes, I said, and I don't want to try it again, thank you very much. I was sure the rest of my classmates were still all secretly, and some not so secretly, laughing at me. Angela and Sam weren't as hopeless at gym as I was. At least Angela could do a cartwheel without falling over, and Sam had leapfrogged straight over the vaulting horse without belly flopping on top of it like me. I've seen some of you do wonderful cartwheels. There she is, doing a cartwheel. We've got gym again on Monday morning, Sam added. Mrs. Pierce said she was going to give us a fitness test then. Remembering that only made it worse. I'll never be able to climb up that rope without getting stuck, I said, and I'll never be able to jump over that vaulting horse or do a forward roll, let alone a cartwheel. Yes, you will, Sam said. All you need is a bit more practice. Why don't you come round to my house tomorrow afternoon and we can practice together? Okay, I said, thanks. I'd known Sam forever. We'd both lived in the Templeton Children's Home since we were babies. Just over a year ago, I was adopted by a lovely witch called Lilith and went to live in Coven Road. A little while after that, Sam was adopted by Trevor and Tracy, who run our local Woodland Wildlife Centre and love animals just as much as Sam does, which is lots and lots. Sam and I had always dreamt that we might find a perfect family to adopt us, our forever family as we called it, and both of us had. Although in my case, my family was one person. Sam's the only person who isn't a witch, who knows that I am. Oh, Sam's the only person who isn't a witch, who knows that I am one. I love going to Sam's house, especially now he has a puppy called Bobby. But I didn't really think that practicing getting stuck up a rope a few more times was going to make the fitness test on Monday any easier. I couldn't stop thinking about it as I walked home at the end of the day. I wished there was any way for me to get out of having to do it. If only I was allowed to use magic outside Coven Road. Wait, a voice behind me shouted, and the next moment Verity came running up. What are you looking so mopey for, she said when she saw my face. Verity's a witchling like me and lives in Coven Road too, so sometimes we walk home together, although we don't go to the same school. She's a few years older than me and very pretty with big eyes and shiny black hair. think that must be her. Her mum is Lilith's sister, and that makes Verity Lilith's niece and my cousin. Sometimes having Verity around can be good, and sometimes it can be very bad. Sometimes Verity can be nice, and at other times she can be really nasty. When I first came to live in Coven Road, she was very jealous and tried to get me banished, but she's made up for that since then, and we're sort of friends, although I still don't completely trust her. As we walked home down the streets, I told Verity how I was dreading the fitness test on Monday, and how awful the gym class had been that day, and how everyone had laughed at me. The rope kept swinging as I tried to climb it, and I thought I was going to fall off. Verity wasn't very sympathetic. I hadn't really expected her to be. If you had my natural grace, you'd have no problem, she said, spinning around like a ballet dancer. I could be a trapeze artist if I wanted. Verity might have been joking, but maybe not. She always thinks she's better than me, which she isn't, but there's no point in telling her because she never listens, and she probably was better than me at gym. It would be hard not to be. Oh, look, they're so pretty, Verity said, and she pointed to some tiny purple wild flowers with white spots on them growing in a small clump at the roadside. There they are. Yes, they are, I agreed. Verity crouched down and sniffed them. They've got a very faint scent, she said. Then she sneezed. Do you know what they're called? I shook my head. I'd never seen flowers quite like them before, but Lilith would probably know. We use lots of wildflowers and leaves and herbs in our spells. I might add some of these to my 13th moon ceremony posies, Verity said, as we turned into Coven Road. I want my ceremony to be the most magical one ever. You could show them to Lilith, I suggested. She might know what they are. I sighed, and maybe Lilith would have some ideas about my gym problem. At least she'd be more sympathetic than Verity. There. That's the end of that chapter. And there are the potion pots. And this is the next chapter with a broomstick or with stars. It looks exciting, doesn't it? And I think whoever gets this book would like to read the rest of it. Maybe they can read it by themselves, or their mum or dad can read it for them, or their big brother or sister. Who knows is going to get this one? Right. I'm going to go now. Oops. I'll pick them up in a minute. Shall I start again? I'm still not very good at it. I'll have to practice some more. Bye, children.